Welcome to the Vault podcast. As usual, Dan, we're going to start with a salute to Terry the Triceratops.
Yes, let me just
back.
get myself in position for
Ready,
no
Terry.
reason.
For no reason. All right, Terry, will you bless this podcast?
Oh, yes.
Thank you for the
It is-
sign.
It's been blessed.
Is it bizarre to me as anybody else that we are getting blessed by a dinosaur?
No. This
No,
is children's
it makes
ministry.
total
Anything
sense.
Could happen.
Anything could happen.
And it probably will.
It is the Vault podcast. The Vault is where you hold all of your most valuable things. This is where the wisdom is.
And I'm being held against my own will.
You're very valuable.
Thank you.
No, Dan,
Yeah.
can we do a fact check on that?
Yeah.
Are you being held
is
against your own
Dan
will?
valuable?
I have to
No.
be-
In Jesus' name, he is.
He's very... No, I wanted to
I,
see...
just did a Google search for do I have to be here?
And what
it,
is it?
And it came up as a map location of where I am. So that's where I have to be, yeah.
Amazing. So, again, we don't hold all the wisdom, but we get guests here who do hold the wisdom some of the time. And you, our team, and we and your team together as one team have all the wisdom that we need collectively. And in case you haven't joined us before, welcome to the team.
Woo!
Wes?
Yeah, we're your people.
We
Yes.
want to
Well, thank you
be
for letting us be on your team.
100%.
Exactly.
We know that most children's pastors around the world are the only person on staff or even on volunteer in their church. And so we want to be your team and we want you to be on our team. So welcome.
Can I just add something?
Oh,
just
Dan,
had an
I've been
idea.
waiting for 7 episodes for you to add something.
Don't know if this is it, but people write in and ask us questions.
They do.
right? But I think seeing that we're all part of one team, I reckon people should be able to write in and answer previous questions we've done on
Yes.
an episode.
Ooh, yes,
just like
ideas.
to add
Just
to
like
that.
send it in.
Yes, 100%.
Just like to add to episode 3, blah, 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 and we'll
Like,
read
what
that
are
out.
those thingamajiggies called in magazines where like people comment on the article?
Letters to the editor.
Letters to the editor.
Letters to Dave.
Yeah.
Do you edit?
Yeah. Dan,
Or you could be like
Well,
Penny.
I just
He
have
did
one
write a
question,
book.
Dan.
He did write a book.
He did write a book.
So-
Listen, before we get to our sponsor of the book.
Sponsors Pepsi Max Vanilla.
No, it's a
Okay.
no, not vanilla. Yeah, it's Jess's new favorite treat is Pepsi Max Vanilla. Dan, where would you send though a letter to the editor?
You would send a letter to the editor at thevault at hillsong.com.
Thevault at Hillsong.com. And
like
can we
it.
just say, let's do a little catch up here. This is episode number 7.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
In the last episode or last couple of episodes ago, we said the exact. Let me remind you of the phrase that we said. There's only 2 people that care about this podcast, and we
Yes.
don't get enough questions.
And we said, please email.
And now I have so many, Jess. We are so. You know what? You know what this means? People care.
Yes.
They do.
So, can I just say this? 7 episodes in, we finally feel like we have a reason to exist.
We've done something finally that people seem to care about.
So we're very, very happy today. We're
Yay.
celebrating. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers. Dan, can you just cheer us with Terry?
Yep. I ran out of sparkling water and
You-
I'm not going back to Pepsi Max.
No.
I refuse.
Job. Good
Dan
for
is
you.
trying to I don't know what he's trying to do.
I've given
Defeat
it
Black
up.
Death.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to sit here,
Yes.
dehydrated, but silently judging both of you.
Okay. I don't feel like if you tell us that you're going to silently judge us, you're now no longer silently judging us.
Oh, okay.
You're
yes.
verbally judging us.
Yes, I'm better than you in every way.
So I wanted to say that this is the first episode. We have got so many questions from our listeners, and we really want to thank you for that. It's amazing.
Dave, we don't have to waffle anymore. We actually have questions.
Okay, let's
So I need to
do
kind of
it.
get to it.
Yeah.
So
Let's answer some questions.
we've talked about what the Vault is. We've talked about our jobs. You're with Jess Mclean, Hillsong Kids children's pastor, Dan Lee Archer, Hillsong Kids fact checker, Dave Wakerley, the dude who pushes the buttons. We are part of Hillsong Kids in Australia, and we're so glad to be with you. Let's get to the first question. All right, this is really good. These are also long questions, so I'm going to have to skip
Well,
around.
lucky
and
you did that speed reading course, eh?
I have, to be honest,
Yeah.
I have read.
You've done some weird
I've
courses,
done.
man.
I've done a lot of read. I love speed reading. And look, you're distracting.
I'm so sorry, go.
Seriously. My name is Andrea Andrea. It could be Andrea. Andrea?
Hang on, let me fact check.
Thank you. She's from Colombia, but she lives in Toronto. She's part of our church, Hillsong Church in Toronto.
We're familiar with Andrea.
Andrea. If she's from Colombia, it's Andrea.
Sorry, it's Andrea.
Andrea.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry if I've butchered your name already in our first email. But they're part of our church in Hillsong in Toronto North.
You.
Overseeing the kids ministry there, so it's awesome. You are a legend already. You're part of the team, literally part of our team in the greatest way possible. I have one question for this podcast. Last Sunday after the service, we got together as a team to talk about the highlights and roadblocks. It's so funny because on Monday when I was going to work, I listened to the second episode and it was if you guys listened to our conversation.
Oh my God.
Isn't that great?
Because we're part of your team.
We're part of your team. We helped you. You helped us. The podcast.
She's discovered something that we need to edit this bit out. She's discovered the secret bug we have planted in all of the Hillsong locations around the world.
It's a secret is revealed. The podcast had all the answers we were looking for on Sunday. So thank you so much for taking time. She just thanks us. She weeps with joy at some point here.
Wow.
And again, I'm assuming it's a she. I don't even know. Could be a guy.
And
We got the first snort for today, guys.
The first snort.
oh wow, okay, snort count. I'll have a snort.
Now
count
for the
then.
question, I would like to know if there are any plans to have a conference for kids ministry, specifically for people that are heart for kids.
Ooh, oh my gosh. Conference
would
of my
so love it.
dreams.
It would be amazing. We would love to do a kids ministry conference and do
would.
it maybe because we do one here in Australia at a Hillsong conference. If you are part of kids ministry and you come to Hillsong conference in July, then we do we hang out with you guys. We do tours of our kids song. But man, how good would it be?
It would be so good.
So what we're saying is yes, we would love to do that. There are just no plans for it currently.
No plans.
But there's definitely seeds.
Oh yes,
And that will be a watering of that seed.
100%.
Yeah,
And
So-
we could do this
I feel
live
it.
on a that's what podcasts do. They travel and they do this
Yes.
live on a
We would love to do live.
stage.
We're potentially looking next year at Hillsong Conference doing a live podcast recording. So if you come to conference next year, then I think we should just do it. We don't need to plan it. We'll just do it. So for one of our sessions needs to be a live podcast recording.
That sounds good.
Amazing.
The other session we could just say it's about leadership, but accidentally tell everyone it's about parenting and have 4,000 parents show
just
up.
bring up.
It's too
Have we
soon.
talked about that
Too
on the
soon.
podcast?
I think you quickly.
You've
talked about it on the podcast.
It was come on quickly.
Jess Mclean
I think we
did a masterclass at Hillsong Conference last year.
She had meticulously worked out every part of it.
Yep.
Beautiful leadership, how to lead children.
Yep.
Any
But,
problem is,
but it was communicated to the delegates as a parenting.
Yeah, we didn't pick that up in the
No.
vibe.
So there
there
were a lot
was-
of parents coming in.
there was
like
800% more people than normally come.
It was
Like,
giant. We had to
wow,
move rooms
we're
because
so
many.
popular.
so-
Oh no.
So point number one, we stumbled across what people want to know.
do.
But point number two,
Yeah.
we will do better. We will do better in communicating next year. I think is just
Oh,
making
we're
sure
doing a parenting.
We're
one
doing
next
a
year.
parenting
and
one.
you did.
100%.
Might I add, you did fantastic.
It was
Jess.
amazing, as
It
we
was
said
really good.
when we talked about it. It actually was great. First time caller Anthony. Everyone say hi to Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
Team member Anthony. Anthony, first time, sort of long time. I've listened to each podcast. We didn't say a long time. This is only episode 7, so
So it's along
That's
in the
commitment,
context.
though. That is
yeah.
some commitment.
it is.
He's our favourite.
Enjoying the podcast and the support it provides to a church leader who's leading it solo with a great team of volunteers, which is amazing.
Not solo, with us.
And that's
We're
right.
We're on your team.
We're on your team. Kids Ministries, 40 kids most week. Took over it 12 months ago. The previous couple were about to have a baby. 24, come from youth ministry
What a great
experience.
age.
We use Hillsong
Great
Kids Big
experience.
Curriculum, Daniel, like this. At the end of each 10-week term or during our church conferences, we've created the characters Adventure Guy and Adventure Girl.
Oh, I love this.
They are funny, exciting, and a great vessel to share Jesus in a way that's shaped for our church. They've made videos, colouring sheets, and lessons for these special weekends. So they use big curriculum. Thank you so much, Anthony. I appreciate you telling us that's what you love. Question number 1. Our church has half a dozen kids with ranging levels of
Raging.
ranging levels of autism. They're all relatively young, so we've got an opportunity to start putting a program in place for these kids as they grow. They've looked into Champions Club, but a smaller number like this, it would be better just to slightly adapt the big curriculum. We've got good
Yeah,
news
it
for
would.
you.
Such
Such
good
good
news.
news.
Like really good news.
We are currently working on our next season of Big Curriculums, year number 4, and it will have special needs integrated into it in some way. It may not be the most extensive thing out there available, but we do want to help include kids with special needs
Yeah.
with additional needs, as we say.
Yeah. So good. And I was looking at that because I was talking to the Hillsong Network, which is a great thing to join
Yes.
if you want more resource and
HillsongNetwork.com.
chances to connect with us. But I was looking at that curriculum. I think it was that curriculum. And we were looking at all the different bonus resources like visual timetables
Yes.
and just such good stuff
Yes.
to buddy up with kids and help them to navigate a
Yes.
program, a mainstream program well. So I loved it.
We're not sure.
Was that the first round and you're working on the second round, or was that round
We've done a
one that I was
test.
looking
We
at?
have
The
done
test.
one
Looks
a
good.
test.
Pilot season.
It looks really
we did a
good.
pilot for it. Now we're so we're not sure what it looks like 100%, but there will be resources in our curriculum in the future for for Treasure Chest, which what we call Treasure Chest, what you might call additional needs, or as they
Champions
said
Club.
here, they've looked at Champions Club from our friend.
Craig Johnson.
Craig
Pastor
Johnson.
Craig.
If you want to check out what we recommend for special needs, is check out Champions Club.
Yeah.
We love big curriculum. Question number 2.
Oh,
We're also up to date with you guys, so it's hard to know what series we're doing next. Are you planning on doing more big curriculum next year? Another good question. Yes, we are currently making a pilot version for year 4 of our curriculum. When is that coming out? That's a great question. We are, unfortunately, we're not a publishing company, we're a church. And so it's kind of like we do this with everything else. If we were a publishing company, we could put things out much more regular, because that would be our job. But our job as being kids pastors and making content is part of what we do. So unfortunately, we can't answer that question, but we're working on it.
But can I give him 2 really practical tips for that?
Go
Please.
for it.
Well, first of all, we love to integrate our additional needs kids or kids on the spectrum into our mainstream programs. So
Yes.
resourcing a buddy for each child is a great start, or a buddy or a leader that's dedicated for a couple of kids, and providing that thing that I called visual timetables is a great way to start. But you don't even need our curriculum for that. You just need to get pictures that represent the different elements of the service, say bye to mum and dad, play, worship, pray, so that kids can help with their transitions, with them they're moving from one thing to the next,
100%.
because that's the biggest thing that they'll struggle with. And just make sure that you communicate any changes to parents, anything that's wild or loud, that's out of the box. Making sure that you start that dialogue with the parents from the get-go, and just start a really good conversation about the kids' needs as they develop, because kids will change if they're really young now. As they develop, especially the boys, as they get flooded with testosterone, their needs will completely change as they go, and you're going to need to adapt. So having that conversation happening is really important.
If you'd like to know more about special needs, I think we talked about it in episode 5.
Yeah, we did.
I think so. So that was wasn't last week's episode, maybe the weekend before.
Yeah.
But check out episode 5 for more about Treasure Chest. All right, we're hearing from Lillian. Hello, team member Lillian.
Yeah.
hello.
From Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Oh,
Buenos
yeah.
Aires.
Buenos Aires.
My
She's part
husband's
of...
bag went there.
What?
Yeah, it got lost there.
He didn't get it back?
No, he did.
Oh,
It
okay.
just got stuck there.
Yes, your husband, the international traveller.
Yeah.
Nathan was there, lost his
Sure.
luggage.
I don't think he's ever travelled without some kind of harrowing story.
No. Sometimes just where he's going is harrowing, like
Right.
climbing a mountain or something.
Yeah.
But Lillian is part of Hillsong Kids in Buenos Aires. This is amazing hearing from our team. Like, this
Yeah,
is
it's
great.
really
And
cool.
everybody's our team if you email us at...
thevault@hillsong.com.
I've shared it with the English-speaking part of the team, and we're so excited to have a new way of learning. This is the podcast. And being able to feel closer. So, Lillian, thank you so much. And everybody from Buenos Aires in Argentina, hello.
Hello, we love you.
Oh, holy cowbells. We
Just a
love
quick,
them.
quick fact check. If you misspell Buenos Aires
Yes.
in Google,
Yes.
it will show you results for bruised area.
Thanks, Dan, for the fact check.
Great.
So far, the conversations you have already helped us feel less alone in this crazy world of being adults trying to think like kids. That is amazing. But at the same time, being adults, how can you bring value to the kids' life? By making everything that's important to them important to us. Thanks for sharing it.
yeah.
Keep going. Ooh, here we go. As for a question for you, there may be the first of many. Yes, please.
Come on.
Bring it on.
We have this grey area that's almost an issue. There are a few kids that every Sunday do 2 services in a row because their parents volunteer. Now, we have talked about this in a previous podcast, so we'll recap it here. I think it could have been episode 5 again. It was recent because it was with, you know who it was with? Corinne, and that was episode 4. So if you want to know more about kids doing multiple services, go to episode 4. So their parents volunteer, and there are multiple services. The
Yeah.
problem comes when they act up during the second service because they've already heard everything. They distract other kids. Well, what we talked about is it's a one-on-one conversation with the parents and the kids. There is no blanket rule for this. This is treating every kid as an individual and finding a solution that works for
Yeah.
them. But what we do, as we mentioned before, is my kids, maybe even your kids, Jess, Even Dan, not so
Our kids do heaps of services, right?
Our kids do heaps of services.
Heaps.
We have a good example is my son Orlando, who is 9. In the second service, he will go into one of our little rooms, which is open. It's not closed off, but it's open. They're always there with a couple of other of our pastors' kids, and they all have a device or an iPad and food, and they sit in that service and hang out with each other. And they only get to do that if they are listening and focused in the first service.
Very good.
So that is an individual tailored response that works for the location, the venue, the families involved, that helps us keep our kids loving church, because at the end of the day, we want them to love church.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts, Jess?
Yeah, even bigger win would be to get them to serve in the second
Oh,
service.
absolutely.
Like my son's the same age as Orlando. It's not going to be a win for them yet, but eventually the goal would be to get them to volunteer as junior leaders in the second service. But I just wanted to bring a thought, which is don't let those kids diminish the quality of the second service. I'm from a location where sometimes the temptation can be, most of the kids have already seen it.
Yeah.
Let's just do less. Let's just make it simpler. Let's just pack down a little. Let's just bring it all down. No, you need to make sure that the next lot of families, who some are fresh there, are having the full experience. So don't let those kids, inspire those kids that there are kids there that have just joined them
Yes.
who haven't experienced church yet, and to be encouraging to those kids and to show example to those kids.
My favourite phrase is, I want you to make church good for good for somebody else. And that helps them think in a leadership mindset, which is what we love.
I have a funny story from this weekend.
Go on.
I went to the Macquarie service. Shout out to those.
Shout out to the Macquarie location.
And it was
at
awesome.
at a movie
Macquarie
theatre.
great.
At a movie theatre. It was so great. And I generally ask, how many kids repeat? Because when I do my performance, I like to change it up just a little bit. If a lot of kids repeat, I'll do something different. But I changed it up just a little bit. And they said, no, usually none, but we've got 2. Anyway, there was this one kid sitting in there, and he was kind of just talking and saying stuff before I was about to do it. Just really quietly, but then he was saying it a bit louder to his friends and a little bit louder. And I just accepted that there's some things that I'll accept and some things I won't. And I won't let him diminish
Do your
service
punchlines.
thing. So I basically just went, hey, you, yes. Were you in the last service? He goes, yes. And I go, well, stop saying everything I'm just about to do.
Oh my gosh, did you get that volume, Dave?
And
You've peeked out the microphone a little bit there, Dan.
and
So tell me, how are you feeling about this now?
yes, no, it was awesome. He laughed, and then he
was quiet.
all the leaders laughed because I said what they've wanted to say
Yes.
for maybe many weeks.
That's hilarious.
And then he shut up and enjoyed the rest of
He
the
did.
performance.
You don't. It's the same way that it's the same thing when you're watching a movie with your kid who's already seen the movie. They
don't
want to
wreck
spoil
it.
every movie. Oh look, this is
gosh.
so. Last night we were watching a movie that my son had already watched, and he was like, "Oh, he's getting all excited about what's coming up," and I literally had to put my hand over his mouth and said, "Shh,
Yeah.
we haven't seen it." He goes, "Okay,"
Sometimes
but they
I have
get
to
very
preempt it.
excited about knowing stuff that other
do.
kids don't.
Yeah, sometimes you have to give them a little shout out at the very start to
Yeah.
show everyone that they're special, so then they don't wreck your whole preach.
Yeah, that's good.
100%.
Yeah.
That's a great line. I should do that instead of just publicly shaming.
Yeah, no, totally. But again, the thing about Dan is, as a performer, he's it's all in. It
allowed
gets
to
a
do
laugh.
Yelling
I
is all
get a
part of
laugh.
it.
It gets a laugh. It's not unusual. He hasn't been this quiet, controlled preacher, and then goes. It's from the very beginning. It's right.
Yeah, that's actually my entire bit.
That's your next show. That's your next DVD. Funny Man Dan presents. Tasha Donald. Say hello to team member Tasha Donald.
Hi, Tash.
How hilarious that Australians immediately shorten the name. Hey Tash. You don't even know her and you've already shortened it.
What?
Yeah.
Did she seriously write Natasha and we just
No,
did
she's put Tasha Donald.
Oh, Tasha.
Tasha.
Tash.
Did I
Yeah,
say
we-
Tasha or Tasha?
I don't know,
We
whatever.
like to
We
call
like-
her Tash
yeah.
because
Tash.
we've been part of her team for 7 weeks.
100%. First of all, thank you. Wow, what a gift you guys are to the church. Thank you,
Oh,
Tasha.
wow.
You are definitely a love. Aren't they lovely people?
Yeah, yeah.
Bless them.
Okay.
Read that.
She.
Read
what?
it again.
Okay. Thank you. Wow.
Great.
And how lucky we are to get to email you. Okay, you are not. You are. We're blessed to have you as
Yes,
part of
we
our
are.
team.
I'm feeling like she's one of those people that appreciate everything. And how great is technology that we could send?
Right. She gets up in the morning and goes, look at that sunrise.
Yeah.
Oh, what an amazing sunrise I'd get to see today.
That's our Tash.
Yeah.
I know our Tash. How Tash is that?
That is so Tash.
So Tash.
She's the best.
Activate Church is a part of our network. Thumbs up. She soaks up anything that comes from Hillsong Kids, which is amazing. I use the curriculum. Thank you so much. Now that you know how obsessed I am with you guys, here is my question.
Dash.
Oh, Dash.
Dash.
We're a volunteer-run organisation. What's your process from beginning to end, starting with a person saying they want to volunteer? I'm the lead kids pastor and I can't do it all. How do you manage volunteers and keep the ball moving forward? And that is, do you want to ask a bigger question, Tash? That's so Tash to ask the biggest question.
She likes to keep us on our feet, that Tash.
On our feet? On our toes, Dan.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
On the Tash toes.
The second snort number two.
Oh no!
Dan, if you're watching us on YouTube, Dan who is terrible at doing screens, just messed up our screen again. You gave away our secret.
What, that it's
just a
screen monitor.
It's just a presentation software.
Tash.
Tash.
I feel like step 1, which will bless you, is having team leaders for each service and program, however you want to break it down, who you have already let them know that part of their job profile is calling these leaders and moving them from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 through
Very
your
good.
process. For us, we have quite an extensive process. If you haven't heard before, we go beyond the government standard with
Just
working
for
with children
child
check
safety
or,
and background
with child
checks.
safety. So we do what the state government wants us to do and do that process. But then we also do an interview with a pastor and we also do 2 reference checks. And so each of theirs, I think there's 4 steps from they need to sign up to the right thing and then they need to do their government check and then they need to put their references in and they need to have an interview. So yes, they need to be steps through each thing and it is a challenge for us. But I think that the most amazing thing is when there's people on your team, like team leaders, who are helping. They understand the process and they're helping walk them through it.
Absolutely.
The new volunteers.
So
Getting someone to own it with you is what I'm saying.
100%. Yes, definitely people like having, especially the interview process.
Yeah.
You need to have people who are approved to interview other people. So there's not just anybody.
Yeah.
So I'll do like literally if I'm in a weekend service, one of the leaders might go, "Hey, we've got a new volunteer. Can you interview them after the service?" I'm like, 100%. Because I'm like, well, this is the one thing I can do that will help us grow our team.
Yeah,
like
totally.
today.
Totally.
So that again, figure out what your legal, we'll call that your child safety process is, and then the process for getting them involved in churches. We give them. Every single new volunteer gets our sponsor for today in every episode.
Only you knew.
If Only You Knew, which is our latest book from Hillsong Kids. It's designed specifically for you to help a new leader understand what's involved in leading the kids of your church. And it's a quick read. One of our team, one of my pastors came up. What's his name? Oh, Bill. Our buddy Bill goes, I read it in 45 minutes. He's one of our pastors, and I love Bill, he loves us, and he goes, I read it in 45 minutes. So that's what we're about, 45 minutes,
cool.
which is pretty good for him, and
it's awesome.
I think Bill is a pretty average
Hang
reader.
on,
I don't know.
did
He's
you-
an amazing reader.
Did you meet Bill at that speed reading course?
No, it's a quick read, and it's deliberately meant to be read in one sitting, because we know if you give someone a big book, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, and I think, Tash, find what works for you. One of our locations, one of our states actually, has a process where they all kind of, like any new volunteer does a basic like Google form or form stack, so that then the information is centralized as to who's trying to be join the team, and then that goes into a spreadsheet so that every week they can just look at it and move people from one thing to the next thing, and they can kind of keep track of where all the volunteers are at.
Yeah.
Because some are more tech savvy with their online stuff and some aren't. So it's a bit of a process. So just find something that works for you, but make sure that you do track it, and then every week you're pushing people
100%.
through
So
and get people to own it.
getting those roadblocks. This is one thing as you grow. This is the biggest thing is getting roadblocks out of the way as you grow. Like sometimes you think, oh, it's hard to grow the team. Sometimes it's harder keeping the roadblocks going and clearing them out because these processes get clogged up sometimes.
So let's say they're approved and that's all good. What would your ideal week 1 for a leader be?
I love it when week one a leader can literally just be taken around and shown where things are, the purpose of things, have the why explained to them.
Yes.
Shadowing a team leader or one of the more experienced leaders who actually understands that they're there to explain all the why. So even like as basic as, in worship we sit down but we keep our eyes open so that we can see what's going on around us, and we lift our hands to be an example. Sounds so basic, but often people feel uncomfortable when they're not told what to do.
Yep.
And so that week one would be the explaining the why behind everything.
That's a really good point, because I love doing that with any leader that's stepping up into a bigger responsibility. Sometimes I'll do that with them and go, okay.
Yeah.
And because the why we do what we do is really important. Let's talk about a really, really recent example. So, for example, we've got new leaders, and we have a couple of things: JLP, Junior Leadership Program, and KDG Plus journals. So we really, really want our kids to serve and in church, because we believe if you serve in church at a young age, it's going to establish a pattern and a habit. And also the same it is for KDG Plus. But it's those are the first two things that can sometimes evaporate when people aren't focused on them and keeping them moving forward. So probably today, Dan, Jess, we talked about this. We're going to have a little plan of attack of making sure all of our new leaders and people new on the team realize the importance of that. So we have a thing called Kids News. Dan and I make Kids News every week, and it's very simple. It only takes, we don't always do this. Sometimes it's just the same thing every week to reinforce what's important to us. But we're going to make a little segment explaining, hey kids, excuse me, this Pepsi Max is repeating on me.
We won't include that in the ad.
Okay,
Yeah.
in the ad.
Yeah, that we're doing, the video.
The video, no, I won't be burping
Hey
in the
kids,
ad.
excuse me. No, we'll take that bit out.
So, okay, Dan, we'll come back to Dave, brain. So we're going to make a video, and we're not even going to say, we're going to say, hey kids, we want you to do this. If you're a JLP, a Junior Leadership Program, make sure you take your passport to a leader and get them to sign it. So we're going to be telling the kids and reminding of them what to do. But as a leader, you're watching this going, oh, I should be doing that. So it's almost like we are, without saying it directly, you guys should be doing this. We're reminding people of the importance of what we're trying to accomplish.
That's good.
That was a long way of saying, I don't know what I was trying to say, but it's a good point, right? Would you agree, Dan?
Yeah.
Can you fact check that?
Yes, it was a good point.
And last thing, I reckon for all our kids leaders out there, the best thing you can do for a new leader is to show them the biggest safety thing, which is how to do a toilet run well and how to troubleshoot that in a safe way that matches your policy. So I would just say don't forget to do that, because that's one of the areas where leaders just forget how to do it safely.
I think all those safety things, which are second, what's the word?
Nature.
Second nature to us.
Yeah.
New leaders have no idea about.
I'm glad you didn't say second best.
That's what I couldn't think of the term. Question number 2, how do you keep a culture of fun? And I'm going to tie these in. So Tash, mate, Tash.
Oh, Tash.
We're going to combine these two together. We talk about a culture of fun while teaching the kids. And do you have a reward system? I know some churches do Bible bucks. We do candy. I was wondering where this church is from. I'm going to say with the word candy, I'm assuming America or Canada.
Yeah.
What is your reward system? Oh my goodness. That's a really good question. Let's talk about fun reward systems. Let me give you my big thought on this.
This is going to be deep.
This is going to be deep. No, what's that thing when you're holding two things in tension and it's
attention?
No tension, like it's a paradox. Okay, good, sure. Thanks, Will.
Thank you, Will.
A paradox. So, in one hand, the kingdom of God is not about competition. The kingdom of God is about working together with other people. So anytime you're doing a game where you're competing against kids, against groups, and dividing them into segments, whether it's boys and girls or age groups or any kind of way of dividing kids, and you're playing games together, you're in a sense teaching them something that's opposite to the kingdom of God. Now, that's one hand, right?
I told you it was going to get deep.
But on the other hand, kids love fun. Kids love games. What's the point? What's the big deal with playing a game with the
Some
kids?
people just love to beat other people.
And some
Not
kids
me.
are competitive, not you.
Not me.
You've never been
No,
competitive.
the
Jess.
Mcleans have never.
I've never got that from them.
How much does your daughter run?
More than all the other kids in the school combined.
Ah, 10
So,
days at a time.
that's the other side. Is like, hey, we're here to have fun with the kids. Now, I've done two extremes there, right?
Yes.
It's just all about having fun. If you're not like, or it's just no, wait a minute. The kingdom of God is about this and that, and we're not. So those are the two things, and we've come to a position, I think, at Hillsong Kids, which is just somewhere in the middle. When you come to church, we want to, as you say, be an example to show them what the kingdom of God is like. We want them to come to church. Church is a family, and we work very hard to help that feel happen because we only get 90 minutes a week. And if you're coming for those 90 minutes and all you do is have fun and play games, then you're missing out on something. But also, if you come to church and you sit there and you listen to someone explain the Bible for 90 minutes without moving, then that's the very serious nature. So somewhere in the middle. So,
Okay.
would you agree with that, Jess?
Yes, I do.
Dan, as the minister of fun,
Yes.
I think you could agree with that. Dan if he's going to do something, it's going to be for a short
going
amount
to
of
be
time
very
of the service.
So
he's not going to
there's-
take
it's
over the whole service.
The law of diminishing returns is something very, just from a standpoint of impact. One of the reasons why Funny Man Dan is a big hit is you don't see him very often.
Yes.
Rather
Correct.
than the MC that's up there for a long time. And that's deliberative. I actually find that sometimes I will jump up and do a bit of an MC spot at some of our older things, and kids older
events.
kids, and kids will change their stance. They're not as excited. They mellow
Right,
out.
when you turn up, they're not as
So
excited.
if you're looking at like candy and rewards and stuff like that, I would actually one, you've got to realize what are you actually rewarding, because if you're just giving out candy every week, it definitely
it can actually, the diminishing returns can work against you.
really quickly. So one thing, so Bible Bucks is good for that, where you can kind of build something up. Another thing you could do quite easily is just have something that is very rare, something that doesn't happen very often.
Yep.
So it's a
We actually do that. I've got a good example. Keep going.
yeah.
Dan.
So it's it's something that if everything goes right, or the kids do a certain behavior for a certain amount of time, then something will happen. It might only be for 5 minutes. They do say now that screen time is more of a reward than any other type of thing that you could possibly give out. Any lollipop, a screen
Right.
time. You could have a Nintendo Switch that literally only gets put on for 5 minutes at the end of the service,
Right.
if they've earned it. And that would be better than just going, have it.
Here's the
have it-
Nintendo
have
in the
it
corner of the
for-
room.
Have it for.
I 100%
You've
agree
got
with
to-
that.
You've got to.
Here's our example. We do a monthly card. No, not monthly.
Bi-monthly.
It's like bi-monthly. So every second month we print out a new card, because again, when you get to the end of the service and you want to communicate something to parents and you're putting 7 pieces of paper in their hand and they've got their own activity sheet from the weekend it's overwhelming. So we, as much as possible, we want to give out on the doors on the way home as little as possible. I'm talking as minute as possible. So we wanted to train our parents to use our website as their primary informational tool.
Yes.
The way that we did that was put a QR code, and if you don't know what a QR code, just Google QR code and you'll know what it is.
That actually
fact
works
check.
for everything in life. If you don't know what it is, Google the exact thing that you don't know what it is.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
And we put a QR code, so parents will scan that and it will take them to our website. But in order to train them to look up our website, we've put a prize. So every single week we have a code word on Kids News, which is a short 1-minute video, as we mentioned before, that Dan and I make, which is very same pretty much every week except for that code word. Now, they open up the website, they put in the code word, and they get 1 entry into the draw for something big. We gave away a Nintendo Switch. We gave away, this week is a paddle board, a
What?
stand-up paddle board.
No
I think.
way.
No, true story.
I want to win.
See, Jess is excited about it. So,
You should have been scanning the cards.
yeah, you better be
Should've
scanning
been.
those. No, you're not allowed to win, Jess, because you're an employee of Hillsong Church.
My children, though.
No, they don't know either. If we drew your kids' names out, we drew it
they just
again.
draw it
True
again.
story.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's why they have this complex.
In fact,
This is a true story.
it
Once
happened 3 months in a row, didn't
once
it?
I was drawing out of a big container in front of maybe 500 kids.
Yeah.
And I drew a pastor's kid's name out.
Oh,
It was
And I
elite
literally
pastors'
just crumpled
kids.
it up
Yeah.
and just drew another one.
Oh, that
They'll
poor
never know.
kid.
He's 18 years
Oh.
old now. He doesn't
Oh,
know.
who was it?
It was Eli.
Sorry, Eli.
Oh, Eli, I'm so sorry. That's
If he
terrible.
ever hears the sorry, Eli, you missed out on a bike.
Oh,
But
Oh.
I don't know if it was a bike. It was. I can't remember the prize, but it was a big deal. It was a conference, Hillsong conference.
Oh my gosh. No, but can I say we give out encouragement awards, 100%, and they're amazing.
That's,
Yes.
Encouragement awards
Yes.
are great
So
because
much more
you
personalised.
you can put wording on it
Mm-hmm.
that like means something.
You know the
It's not just a cheap
Yeah.
thing.
You know what the best is? Sometimes I've got them in the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
next
epic.
So kids getting
level.
mail is the best thing you can do because they never get mail anymore
Hmm.
because nobody sends mail. So when you send a letter to an actual physical house,
Yeah.
it is kids will freak out over
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If they get
Yeah.
letters from the bank and they get excited.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which
let's
means they're behind on their credit card payments.
But also we do Bible Bucks type things sometimes. But usually it's like a month that we
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
watch
so-
Sunday nights when it's cold to be absolutely epic and
Yeah.
the kids totally be pumped about
come
church.
back tonight,
Yeah,
bring
bring
this
Yeah.
ticket.
challenge and
Yeah.
tickets and all
Yeah,
that
so
sort
it's
of
kind of
stuff.
seasonal.
But I do think, especially with Bible Bucks, I have a big problem with. I feel like if you go, hey, learn your memory verse for Bible Bucks, that is just teaching a child to study the word. It's just the opposite of what we want to accomplish. We want to change their motivation sometimes. And it's if you're doing that constantly, if they did that their whole 0 to 12 years of age in your children's ministry, and they get into youth ministry and they go, hey, learn this verse, and they go, are you going to get Bible Bucks for that? It's that idea of, again, I love the idea of doing it every now and then, but if it's a constant, always there in your children's ministry, check the motivation and the reason kids are doing things. And again, there's that two extremes you've got to hold together.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle, I think, is a nice way of doing it. But
And we'd just like to take this moment to thank our newest sponsor,
Yes.
Bible Bucks.
Is there an
thank
actual thing
you
called?
that they sponsored us, but obviously not anymore. Thanks, Dave. Whereas
I feel like
Pepsi.
maybe there's like an actual Bible Bucks brand, or does
No, it's
someone
a
own the
it's
trademark?
a company.
Oh
Do they
my
own the
gosh.
trademark?
Okay.
Because I know the
so
churches.
it's a.
Can you? No. Fact check.
Okay, I do know about Bible Bucks.
I know. I've heard lots of churches do it.
No, it's you. It's like an online thing, and
Yeah, but I feel like it's a
and they
generic.
have a store,
but-
and
yeah, down the bottom.
like it's
Yeah.
a full on. It's a resource.
Oh my gosh. Well, while he checks that, let's do something.
Let's keep going on.
Yeah.
Let's moving on.
But you
it's
can also
almost
just print your own. But there's
listen.
there's their own store.
listen. Do you know what I've realised?
What?
Everybody, hey, our valuable team listening.
Yes.
Usually, in the first 6 episodes, we've got through 3 questions, right? Maybe 4 questions, all right?
Yeah.
Now I have so many questions. We're
I
like,
feel like we're more motivated because there's so many.
there are, but here's the thing. I've only answered 4 people's emails, and it's time to finish the
Oh
episode.
no!
Oh, no.
I hopefully Tash didn't feel like we were too brash, like that we had to dash in a flash with Tash. Sorry, I just looked up rhyming words with Tash
You think?
because I love Tash.
Hey, listen, in saying that, we need to do 2 things. Right now, we need to give away our email of the week,
Oh, it's Tash.
which is Tash, 100% is Tash.
I don't think anyone saw that coming.
yeah.
Tash, you win. You are going to receive a digital version of Funny Man Dan's live DVD. And the second thing is we always want to do a shout out.
Yep.
A leader's shout out before we finish up. So if you would like to nominate, I feel like one of these other emails had potentially a nomination.
Maybe we need to buy you a highlighter for the.
Well, here's the thing. I thought I might get to it. I didn't
Yeah.
get to it.
Oh, whoa.
So, oh
Maybe
my
we can do
goodness.
that
Didn't
next
you,
week.
Dan had
I've got a
shout
shout out. I went to the
Shout
Macquarie
out.
service and I want to shout out to Rachel Chia.
Rachel.
I have never ever been so just like when she got told I was coming in 3 months' time, she emails me going, "Is it too early to kind of organise this?" And then she made sure
I
everything
love
was great. She
Rachel.
set up a
100%.
new room, combined the kids to make it awesome. And then look at this, right?
Yeah.
She sent me an email afterwards. Just wanted to let me know 3 or 4 testimonies of personal stories
Amazing.
about how my
Beautiful.
visit impacted them, which was so lovely. And I'm
incredible.
like, wow, I'll be there next weekend if you want.
No, just for perspective, volunteer. She's a volunteer.
She's a volunteer.
She's a nurse.
Oversight.
Mum of 2.
Mhm.
Just incredible.
Just amazing.
Theologically deep as well.
Ooh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's amazing.
She should write a
But
curriculum.
seriously, they've got like close to 100 kids there.
Yeah.
As a volunteer.
Both
across
services are
3
awesome.
Yeah, she leads
At a movie
3
cinema.
services in a bump in, bump out movie cinema.
And it's not even a great, even their location they do it in is there's this giant mirrors, which they get used to, but I'm looking at these giant mirrors going, oh my goodness.
Anyway, it's incredible.
They do an
really
amazing
well,
job.
and they ran KDGs. Had some really great KDGs
They had
been
really
run.
good. They
Their,
even have fruit.
fruit.
Amazing. Fact
yeah.
check, what's a KDG, Dan?
A KDG is a kids discipleship group.
Which is what our small groups
And
are
the
at
other
church.
week, they accommodated a baptism pool in their kids' room and made it a win for the
Amazing.
main service.
just awesome.
100%.
Yeah.
So,
And her son preached as well.
Oh, of course he
Young
did.
So
gun,
I
and
feel
he was
like-
better than some.
I feel like our team shout out
adults.
to Rachel. So
Yeah,
thank-
that was-
well,
that
Rachel
was-
Chair
I
and
feel
the
like that was a
whole,
really
you know,
detailed
the whole
shout-out.
Macquarie team.
Yeah, good
They
job,
did really
Macquarie.
great.
You guys are awesome.
amazing. All right, so we've done fact checking. We've caught up. We've done leader shout out. I've got questions. I've got
Build-
a checklist I need to do.
Build
now.
rapport,
Done.
check, tick.
Build rapport. That's what we do in. Anyway, we'll talk about that at a later date. Building rapport. But email of the week is done.
Have we mentioned Tash?
Tash?
That
We
should
do
be on the
mention
checklist
Tash.
from now
Only
on.
47 times. So thanks for joining us on the Vault. We're going to wrap this up, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
See you, team.
Terry needs to say bye.
Bye, Terry.
Bye, Terry.